Hello and welcome to another episode of 10 Minutes in Tokyo. However, this episode admittedly is a little bit longer because I am joined by Eilidh McIntyre, Team GB Olympic gold medalist. So no wonder we spoke for a little bit longer than 10 minutes. She has an incredible story to tell and I hope you enjoy hearing about it. And make sure you check her out, follow her on all her social media channels to keep up to date with what she's doing next after the Olympics. We're so wrapped up in our own little sporting world and sporting bubble that half of the sports that you see at the Olympic Games, you probably wouldn't watch. And then because it's the Olympics, everyone's so invested and so involved that you suddenly become an expert in every single sport because you have to watch it. It's amazing.
And you become like a super fan at sports that you pretty almost never heard of.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, this is the Olympic sport, epic. I'm in. Okay, cool. And now I know everything.
do you do the thing as well where, like, sadly, as soon as GB are out, you're just suddenly from another nation and you just commit to that one nation, or is that just me? Am I being weird?
No, do you know what? No, I'm the opposite. I'm like,
right.
Team GB aren't in it. I'm out of here. I'm moving on. I'm supporting. I'm moving on to my next athlete to support. I've been there for them. I'm moving on to the next person to support.
Once I find like an individual or a team that I like, I'm like, as soon as GB is not involved, I'm all over them. Like the Fijian rugby. Oh my god, they were amazing.
To be fair, we did watch some of their games and that was cool.
Yeah, like so things like that. Like, and for me, that's what the Olympics is all about. Obviously, you want home success and things like that, but it is about uniting everyone, isn't it? And
I totally agree. Like it is about, and we were really lucky to get to go to the village a little bit because we always stay out of the village, and we got to go twice. And so we got to sort of like just see everyone mingling and chatting and that was really, really cool. Apparently, towards the end, all of the athletes were meeting up on like a field out in the village and just chatting. And I was like, that's so nice, you know? Yeah. That was such a cool, and like swapping badges. And yeah, it's just so cool.
Right. What's the best badge that you got?
Do you know what? I because we were the last to finish and we were just in competition mode the whole way. I didn't swap a single badge. I know.
We need to start some sort of campaign.
Quite a few out to a lot of volunteers and stuff, but no, but I did see the Dutch one, which is really cool, which was a pair of clogs.
I wasn't going to put in a stereotype, but I was going to ask, is it a clog?
Yeah. It's literally two little wooden clogs on a pin, like dangling. Yeah, it was really good.
Fantastic. We need to start some sort of campaign to get you as many badges as possible. I'm not having it. You can't have a gold medal and no badges.
Can everyone send me? No, I'm pretty happy with my gold medal, to be honest. I've got my memorabilia.
Yeah, and if you're going for memorabilia from a games, like that's as good as it gets. Everyone just assumes all the athletes go into a village and then they all, spend 2 weeks together and then, you eat together, you recover together and then you go off and do individual sports. But that's not the case for you.
No, so we were like an hour and a half outside of Tokyo. In fact, sailing almost always is. It's almost never in the host city, mainly because cities don't have very good wind. So we're always a little way out. And actually, we were pretty close to Tokyo this time. We were about an hour and a half, which was cool. It sort of meant we could go at the end of the regatta. But so we sort of 6 years ago or something, the team went out and scouted out a place for us to stay. And that all got booked in, and it got booked in for every summer for 5 years. We booked it out for.
Talk about perfect prep.
Yeah, the team are on it, and I think it's because it's a legacy of our sport. It always has to be done. That's always what we have to do. That we always go and do it. But I do think it is going to be different in Paris. I think there is chat that we won't be doing that in Paris. We will be, because it's going to be a bit more tricky in Marseille. But yeah, no, amazing planning by them. And then when COVID hit, we were worried we weren't going to be allowed to stay there. But our accommodation met all of the IOC's requirements for it to be, and so they let us stay there. I mean, also because they didn't actually have enough room for all the athletes in the sailing village. So It was one of those, we do need some not to stay here.
Yeah, so we'll do it if we have to.
Yeah.
We'll volunteer. But
No, but there was a lot of requirements for the team to meet.
Yeah, with COVID, obviously, like that could have thrown a massive spanner in your works with regards to, obviously, the prep that you've been going there for the last 5 years to get ready for the games. But what other major differences did you find from the games from COVID?
Oh, Matt, I mean, quite a lot. There was very little mingling between other nations, which was sad. You don't get that big sort of end of games meet up with different nations, different sports. We didn't get that at all. And, it was really strict on mask wearing. That was compulsory everywhere, despite the fact it was 30 degrees and 90% humidity outside. That was masks the whole time. So it was really strict. We had plastic screens between us at meal times. We had to wear our masks everywhere we went in our accommodation. So yeah, it was really strict for us. Oh, COVID testing every morning, 7 till 9. We had to go and have a COVID test every morning, and it was good because it wasn't a swab, but actually I'd have rather a swab because it was a spit test, and you weren't allowed to drink half an hour or eat half an hour before doing it. So you've just woken up and you've not been able to have a drink, and you're like trying to like get enough spit to fill a tube, and it's so hard. Like, one of our guys was down there. She was there for an hour and a half before she filled up the tube one morning. We're like, Ali, you've got to get on top of this situation.
And I thought I got nervous during drug testing. Never mind.
Yeah.
Spitting into a tube.
I know. So nervous because the last thing you want is for one to come back.
Well, yeah.
Oh, just anything, even if it came back inconclusive, that would be such a stress.
Yeah, I can imagine that must have been, so stressful every morning having to go through that, and in the back of your mind knowing that there's nothing you could have done, but the game been taken away from you.
I know.
But the games didn't get taken away from you.
No.
You actually had an amazing games, and you went and got the gold medal. I know.
It's kind of mental, isn't it?
What does that feel like? Do you even do you just go numb when you win, or do you break down? What happens?
Oh man, I honestly, I just keep waking up every day and I'm like, right, I don't have this feeling of, like my whole life I've woken up and be like, okay, I need to win a gold medal. I need to win a gold medal. And that's like almost the first thing you think about in the mornings. And now I don't have that. Like that's not there.
You do have that.
It's really weird.
You do have it.
No, I know. I just mean I don't have that feeling anymore. It's like this total adjustment because I'm like, oh, I've done it. Cool. It's there on my bedside table, just chilling, and that's such like, just mentally get your head around that. It's been a bit of a roller coaster. Just, it's so weird living with 44 people every day, the same people, the same energy the whole time, and then to come home and not have that and just have to do bags and bags of washing. That's quite a weird. It's definitely a reality check.
but it's all worth it.
Oh, 100%. 100%. It's the best experience of my life. The whole experience, not just the winning, but like competing and like I remember feeling every day, I'm like, this is what living feels like. This is what being alive is like, that like you're feeling so many emotions, you feel sick the whole time, but it's also the best thing. And you're like, I'm alive. Like I'm alive, and this is so cool.
Wow. I mean, if that's not an advert in itself to go and chase your dreams, then I don't know what is. What was the water like out in Japan? Because, you've got tremendous conditions. It can change like on a dime and you're in no control of that. How do you adapt to those ever-changing conditions? And with a country like Japan is obviously, an island, and islands tend to get pretty precarious conditions at the best. So how does that affect you when you're out there?
So Japan's weather system's actually changed quite a lot quite quickly, and so we knew that. And to be honest, we got conditions we weren't expecting. So we had a World Championships in Japan in 2019, and we've been out there most summers, and we were expecting more wind than we got, and we had 2 days of good wind, but then we had 5 days of very light wind, you know, and so it's just, you just have to go out there so prepared in every condition and know that you are the able to compete, to be one of the best in every condition, and that's just what you've got to do. You can't go to the games hoping for your favorite condition. I guess you have to go there and be ready to embrace every single element that's thrown at you.
Amazing. And speaking of elements that were thrown at you, what was the water condition like? Because I know that you and your sailing partner are massive ambassadors and advocates for, you know, pollution, climate change, sustainability. And is that something that you found was happening at the games? Everyone obviously hears about the stories of cardboard beds. That's the main sort of sustainable issue for the games to reach the sort of Western world. But what did you find in the water quality out there?
Yeah. I guess it's quite, it's really interesting to Tokyo. Obviously, they've made amazing steps, like the medals being made out of phones and stuff, like donated by the public. That's so cool, and such a great use of something that just sits in all our drawers after we've used it. And the beds genuinely were made out of cardboard in the village. We went and saw them. That was a thing. And that is super cool. And Tokyo were trying, but, you know, Tokyo were a bit that was sort of before the big sustainable movement, unfortunately, and the games take so long to plan that what they could achieve at Tokyo wasn't what they're hoping to achieve at Paris in terms of sustainability. And I know they're putting a huge push towards that, although they did great things. There's more to come, which I think is fantastic. But in terms of actually on the ocean, yeah, we did see a lot of plastic. There were a lot of bottles in. There were a lot of plastic bags in tide lines where everything collects in sidelines, so seaweed sticks. But, you know, when you do see plastic in them, that is heartbreaking. And we were going by water taxi every day to the venue too. And I know when we weren't being taxied, our guys in the rib were collecting trash every time they went by something to pick it up. And yeah, which is great. And we tried to, you know, we were waiting for them and there was plastic around in the marina. We did try to tidy it up. The thing is, it's not a Japan problem. It's a worldwide problem. It's not something we don't see in other places. It's just one of those things. It's just sad we see it everywhere. Plastic bottles, you know, we all joke about taking our own bottles now everywhere, but that is such a big deal. Plastic bottles are huge. They just do get everywhere. And the worst bit is they just bob around on the top of the sea, just being melted by the sun into tiny little microplastics. Yeah, so it is, that is hard to see.
Yeah, and it is, and hopefully, you know, a stage as big as the Olympic Games, you could argue it doesn't get any bigger in sport or life. Hopefully that can highlight it. And as you said, moving forward to Paris and to LA and to Brisbane, that, you know, this sustainable movement can just keep getting better and better, and each game becomes more eco-friendly.
Yeah, 100%.
Become a better place. That would be the end goal, surely. You know, you've went through this massive roller coaster of, you know, training for 5 years instead of 4, you know, competing and trying to deal with COVID and just life in general. You finally get out there, you win, you get the massive high, you come home. What do you do now? What's the plan?
I have a plan.
Love it.
I've got no plan. I know. It's one of those weird things, you know, because you sort of don't know what's going to happen when you gold medal. Are people going to want to talk to you? Are the press going to want to talk to you? Are people going to want to arrange things? There are some cool events like yesterday. That was really cool. There are some other things booked in the calendar, but in all honesty, you just come home and it's normal, you know? And in some ways that's so lovely. Like I had to sort of tell my family to be like, can you just be normal now? And nothing's changed. I'm just me. We've all known I've been wanting to do this for a long time. I've not done, you know, I've just won another event.
Is there a tiny little bit of you where it's like, actually, I'm a big deal now, so parents maybe recognise this?
Yeah, it's one of those things where you're like, can everyone stop hugging me now? Because I just feel a bit weird. Can you all just like rip a new one out of me like you normally do? Because that would be great.
Yeah, just treat me as normal. Nothing's changed. It's just that me and, Hannah are the best in the biz. So deal with it.
Yeah. That's normal. We've already...
Yeah, standard procedure.
It is actually, it's one of those things where you sort of go through this whirlwind of, I want to be treated special, I don't want to be treated special, I did win a gold medal and that's super cool, but just treat me like normal, because it is just this, like, it is an emotional roller coaster. And then I often have to think to myself when I'm feeling a bit low, I think, yeah, but there's guys in our team who deserved medals and didn't get one, and they're having a much worse roller coaster than I am. And I always I've been trying to sort of ground myself with that, like you did it and you should be so happy about that, and that has helped ground me a little bit in that, like, emotional moment that some people went, and often we don't think about it, that they deserved a medal and it went against them, and you just, like, your heart sort of breaks for them a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's also one of the joys of being part of a team. In every GB team, obviously I'm part of it myself, and everyone that I've do and be involved in some way, there is always people, those guys and girls that go out to major games and don't medal, or they, miss out, they're on the cusp of qualification and don't quite do it. But when you live with them and train with them and go through day-to-day life with them, as you said, like, they deserve a medal just as much as anyone else. Yeah. But if everyone got a medal, then the gold wouldn't be as special, would it? So I think it just makes it all part of the journey. But when you're surrounded by that environment, as you know, there's always going to be winners, there's always going to be losers, but it does help ground both sets of athletes, the ones that are deemed successful by society with their shiny bling and their gold medals like yourself, and which is amazing. And the other side of that stick, which is the athletes that maybe don't get as much of a look in just simply because they don't medal, but it doesn't take anything away from the fact that they are incredibly hardworking people and super good, and that's it.
And just to get there is a massive deal. I just think as athletes, most of the time all we want is just to go and win. That's all we want to do. So for a lot of us, getting there isn't quite enough. I'm sure the feeling, like, although that's an amazing achievement, sometimes it's hard to recognize that in that moment because you wanted to go there to medal, and I think that's hard, isn't it, when actually it is just super impressive to be there, to have done it, and you deserve recognition for that, and for inspiring so many people. Like, it doesn't matter whether you win or lose, there's some kid out there that's been so inspired by watching you, and I think that's invaluable, and certainly makes my medal feel worth it and makes my Olympic journey feel worth it.
Absolutely. That's an amazing way to end it. I was going to ask a few more questions, but I want to leave it at that because that's such a nice way to finish it. So thank you so much. Wow, how amazing was that, hearing from Eilidh, what energy she brings, just talking about it, what it means to her to be the best in the world, Olympic champion, Olympic gold medalist. I'm super proud of her. I know the entire country of Great Britain is proud of her, and she should be incredibly proud of herself. I hope you enjoyed this week's 10 Minutes in Tokyo.